Masechet Taanit, Tractate of Taanit, Perek Rishon, the first chapter. Be'ur Mishnah Aleph, the explanation from Mishnah Aleph. Kvar shaninu, we already learned in Masechet Brachot, that was 2 years ago when we started the whole thing, Maskirim Gvurot Kshamim Betchiyat Hametim. We mention the Gvurot, the mighty of rain, the might of rain, in the blessing of resurrection of the dead. That's what we mention. Maskirim Bibirkat Tchiyat Hametim Shvat 18. We mention over there. Et Gvurat Hashem Be'oradat Kshamim. We mentioned the mighty of God in like in the 18, this is the first time we mention and the second time we mention. Talking about the first time it mentions. Be'oradat Kshamim. Hainu she'omrim ba, that we say in it, we switch over. We switch off of the talu matar, and what do we say? Now we say talu matar. Then we're going to say, Mashiva ruach u'morid geshem. We tell God, thank you God, the one who brings the wind and brings down the sun, the rain. V'sho'alim hagshamim bibirkat hashanim. So there's two places over here, and they're different. And because they're different, the rules are going to be different. We're going to see. One is we mention rain, and one we ask for rain. And it's not the same thing. One we mention, God, you're a great God, you bring rain. And the other one, we say, God, please bring me rain. Two different things. One, we mention it, God, you're great. Just like you resurrect the dead, we're the dead without the rain, so thank you for doing that.
One is like,
mention.
You're doing it, you're giving us the rain, and the other one, please give me.
That's right. That's the first one and the second one that we have. And we're going to see, because of that, all the questions that we have, why we don't change it in the same time, and all of those things are going to be because of that. Or even why over here in America you change it 2 months later. Yeah, we're going to have to answer that. It's not in the beginning, but we'll have to answer. All these questions are going to be answers once we understand what's going on over here. And by the way, this has nothing to do with Masechet Taanit. The only reason we're bringing it is to know when we start to fast, when it doesn't come. That's the only thing we're bringing it.
Oh.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with us.
Tell us when we start to fast.
That's right. Okay? בשואלים הכשלים מברכת השנים, when you ask for rain in the blessing of the years. היינו שאומרים, over there we tell, ותן טל ומטר בתוך הברכה המתחילה. We said, please give us rain inside the beginning blessing. ברך עלינו את השנה. He says, please God, bless upon us this year. And we end it, ברוך אתה השם מברך השנים. On that blessing, when we say, bless are you God for blessing the years, that's where we put the other one in. Mishnah Taanit. So there's the first time we mention it, and the second time we ask for it. Okay? Mishnah Taanit בא ללמד בעניין זמנה של הזכרת גשם. We're not going to discuss when do you ask for rain in the beginning. We're going to ask when do you start mentioning rain. Not when you have to ask, when you have to mention.
You mean in the holidays?
Yeah.
Sukkot and Pesach.
Yeah, but since when should you mention it? Since which point? Okay? We're used to it because we already know the answer because that's what we do. But we're going to see there's a conflict of opinion when you have to start. So it says like this. מתי מזכירים גבורות גשמים? From when do we start mentioning to God, hey God, you're a good guy, you're bringing rain. Like we thank God for the rain that He gives. מאיזה יום מתחילים לומר, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם? In other words, from which day of the year do we have to start saying, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם? Bring down the rain. בברכת אתה גיבור, in the blessing that you are mighty, resurrection of the dead, שבתפילת 18. ונקט התנא לשון גבורות גשמים, and the Tana says the might of rain, לפי שהגשמים הם גבורותיו של הקדוש ברוך הוא, because the rain is one of the miracles, you can see it, God's way He sustains the world through rain. Okay? So that's the question. When do we start that? So Rabbi Eliezer says, מיום טוב הראשון של החג, from the first day of Sukkot.
That's when we change.
Yeah. What do we do?
That's when
Shmini Atzeret or the first day?
No, I think the first day or the second day.
Right? You look it up.
The second day.
Yeah, let's see what we do. Miyom Tov Rishon Shel Chag, Sukkot, and Rabbi Eliezer says from the first day of Sukkot, and Ta'amo Mevuar B'Gemara, and he says the reasoning in the Gemara, Shelomedu Menitilat Halulav. He says, I'm learning it that you have to mention it from the fact that we take the lulav. Yeah, what do? Haba leratzot al hamayim. The reason why we shake the lulav comes to thank God for the water. The whole holiday of Sukkot has to do with water.
Right.
From when do we start?
First day of Pesach.
Yeah, not like here. Right? So, but he says the first day, and he has a proof why it's the first day. The whole holiday of Sukkot has to do with what?
Right.
With water. We pour the water on the Mizbeach, on the altar the 7 days. It all have to do with rain. We're blessed for the water. It makes sense not to wait for Shmini Atzeret. It makes sense to start from the beginning of Sukkot, because that's when the rainy davening starts. The davening about rain, everything has to do with rain from the first day of Sukkot. Ho'il v'nidunim aleim b'chag. Rabbi Eliezer says that's what we start. God judges us from the first day of Sukkot. He judges us on rain. Just like we mentioned in the text of Rosh Hashanah. Just like lulav, you start picking up on the first day של חג, of the holiday. So you also have to start according to Rabbi Eliezer, the first day of the holiday, you don't wait for the Shmini Atzeret, or from the first day you ask for rain. Rabbi Yoshua Omer, like us, this is the halacha that we do. Miyom tov ha'acharon shel chag. No, we wait from the last day of the holiday with the Shmini Atzeret, and that's only then. Now, what's his logic? Mishmini Atzeret. Amar lo Rabbi Yoshua le Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Yoshua said to Rabbi Eliezer, you know why I say it from the last day? I understand what you're saying from the first day. The whole holiday has to do with water. But you can't do it on the first day. And I'll tell you why. He says, you want God to rain in your sukkah? Yeah. He says, you don't want. So what do you? So you're going to ask for something that you don't want? Don't ask for things you don't want. You're asking for things you don't want. That's crazy. Because if it rains, the mitzvah of sukkah disappears. They weren't Lubavitchers. They didn't stay in the sukkah. Yeah? So if it rains, you don't have the mitzvah anymore. So that you have a problem. Like we said, it says, what is it similar to? When the rain happens in the holiday, לעבד שבא למזור כסף לרבו ושפך לו רבו קיטון על פניו. It is like a slave who comes to give wine to his master, and his master takes a cup and pours it in his face. Yeah? Why? Because he said, I don't want you. It's like God telling the Jewish people, I don't want your mitzvah. I'm not interested in you serving me. ומכאן שסימן כללה הם בחג הסוכות. And therefore it is curse to mention it in Sukkot. אם כן, למה מזכיר את הגשמים בחג? So he said to Rabbi Eliezer, you don't mention it in the holiday. אמר לו רבי אליעזר tell him, oh, you fool. Rabbi Eliezer is going to tell back Rabbi Yoshua, what do we do over here? Are we asking for rain or are we mentioning rain? What are we doing? We're just mentioning, we're not asking. Yeah, that's all we do. You're right about asking, later on we'll discuss it then. Yeah, maybe you're right, then I'll discuss it with you. But over here we're not asking. We just tell God, you're a great God. Just like you resurrect the dead, you bring down the rain. What's wrong with that? Yeah? אמר לו רבי אליעזר לרבי יהושע, אף אני אמרתי לשאול. Rabbi Eliezer told them, also I said לשאול, to ask, להתפלל על הגשמים בחג הסוכות, כגון לומר, ותן טל ומטר. I didn't say, give us rain. I just mentioned that God gives rain. אלא להזכיר, I'm only mentioning, I'm not asking. That's all I do. להזכיר משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. All I do is mention the fact that God is powerful. He's so powerful, He gives life throughout the sea. That's all I'm doing. What do you want from me? Yeah, you like Rabbi Eliezer now. בעונתו, all I mentioned that God is giving the rain in the right time. That's a good thing. כלומר, which means, שמתחילים להזכיר בחג את גבורות השם, שהוא מוריד הגשם בזמנו, היינו בשעה שיש בו צורך. In other words, we're only mentioning that this is the time of the year that you have to start asking, mentioning that this is God, look at His mighty. It's like saying at night, look at the stars. Yeah, I'm saying, look at the stars. אמר לו רבי יהושע לרבי אליעזר, Rabbi Yoshua says, you don't make sense. Rabbi Yoshua says, if you're only saying, if you're only mentioning it throughout the year, why do you have to mention it now?
But it's not there now.
It doesn't matter. You're mentioning. You're not asking for it. You're saying how great God is. All you're saying, according to you, all it means, but you're not asking for rain, right? So you're not asking when it says, wow, you know how great God is? He brings light in the day and He brings the stars at night. You can say that whether it's day, whether it's night. You should say that according to you throughout the year. Why do you change specifically on the first day of Sukkot? There's a problem in there. Also do it. Yeah. You see, that's what Rabbi Yoshua said. If it's mentioned, you can mention it all year round. You don't have to mention it just a week before. The fact that you're mentioning it a week, you change over, shows me that you're asking a little bit. You're not just mentioning it. That's according to Rabbi Yoshua. Okay. אם כן, אם אתה אומר שבאים להזכיר שהשם הוא משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם בעונתו, if you're only saying that God gives rain in the right time, just like He gives daylight in the right time and the stars in the night time, is that all you're saying? לעולם יהיה מזכיר, you can mention it the entire year, you don't have to switch over. אף ביומות החמה יזכיר שהשם משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם בעונתו. You can say that, you know what, God, you always give the rain in its time. You can say it in the summer also. ומה טעם אמרת מיום טוב הראשון של החג? So why do you say it's from the first day of the holiday? Obviously you do have, there is something there. Yeah? אלא אין, so I do disagree with you, he said, אין מזכירים גבורות גשמים. By the way, just we're not going to go in it, it's not Gemara. Rabbi Eliezer has an answer to that.
Oh, he does?
Of course, he still holds whatever he holds. Yeah, he still disagrees with him. Yeah? So, but again, we're not doing Gemara, we're just doing משנה. אלא אין מזכירים גבורות גשמים, כי אם בזמן שהגשמים הם סימן ברכה. It says you only mention rain only at the time where rain is good. Rabbi Eliezer will tell him, not necessarily, I mention rain when it's the season of rain, not when it's good. Rabbi Yeshua says, I only mention rain when I want rain. I never mention rain when it's the season of rain. That's the argument. ואומנם רבי אליעזר סובר בברייתא שאם בא להזכיר בכל יום בשנה רשאי הוא להזכיר. And Rabbi Eliezer holds, he says if you want to mention it in the summer, mention it, you're allowed to. There's no problem in the summer to mention it. And by the way, if you read the halacha is interesting enough, just for you afterwards you can do your research, yeah, that if you made a mistake and you said the wrong thing, do you have to go back? So we're going to see, maybe you don't have to go back, it depends on how you mixed it up. And everything comes because of these arguments. Because Rabbi Eliezer says it's not such a big deal. So if you're just mentioning it, you're allowed to mention it whenever you want, even in the summer. שלעולם בעונתו משמע, because it means you say, thank you God for giving light in the day. You can say that at night. Yeah? Same thing over here. You say, thank you God for giving rain in the rainy season. Yeah? There's nothing wrong with it. ברם עד החג אין חובה להזכיר. Rabbi Eliezer says, until the holiday, there's no obligation to mention it. You could mention it before, there's no obligation. From now on, there's an obligation to mention it. אבל מיום טוב ראשון של החג, חובה להזכיר. Now you have to mention. Why? Because the season came. I don't care if it's bad for you. The season came, mention it. Now it's the season. כדי לשבח את השם, you're praising God, that at this time of the year, He gives rain. את דרך ריצוי ופיוס לפני שאנו באים לשאול על הגשמים. It says, and first of all, you mention God, you come to the boss and you tell him, thank you for giving me my salary. What about the bonus? The bonus is later on. Before you ask for the bonus, you have to say, thank you for giving me my salary. Then you ask for the bonus. You don't start, give me my bonus. What do you mean? First, thank you for the salary, and then, so this is what his logic.
Isn't that a little bit Tanamuna, Rabbi Yoshua? If you mention the rain, they're going to start to come and you're going to sit in the sukkah. But Hashem is not going to do that. Because he knows that the Jews sit in the sukkah. And he's not going to bring the rain.
So why are you mentioning?
In the sukkah.
So why you mention?
Because it's the time to mention it, because you get blessed on the rain.
So he says,
that's the time you get blessed. Remember.
So Rabbi Yoshua told you, obviously there's no reason to mention it unless you want it. The only reason you're mentioning it now,
I wanted it, but not right now.
So start mentioning it when you want it. Start mentioning it when you want it.
But Hashem knows us. He is not going to do something bad against us.
What do you mean? I don't think so.
Because Hashem is not going to be against you, even if...
Maybe you can argue this according to Rabbi Eliezer, but Rabbi Yeshua doesn't have to accept that.
Yeah.
Rabbi Yeshua doesn't have to accept that logic.
Yeah.
Maybe Rabbi Eliezer, that's what he's going to argue with Rabbi Yoshua. It's possible. But Rabbi Yoshua doesn't have to accept that logic. He says, I disagree.
Okay, I just was thinking,
ריצוי ופיוס לפני שאנו באים לשאול על הגשמים. It says it makes normal sense. First of all, you say, God, this is Rabbi Yoshua. First of all, you say, God, thank you for giving rain. Then you ask for the rain. Yeah, that makes sense. שכל הבא לבקש מקדים ומרצה. Because it says when you ask, before you ask, you say, thank you for already what you're doing. I know this is what you do. In other words, you come to the boss before the season of giving bonuses and you say, wow, you're such a good boss. Every year you give us a week before. You say, every year you give us a bonus at this time of the year. And then you expect that in a week from now he's going to start giving you the bonus. That's according to Rabbi Yoshua. Rabbi Eliezer disagrees.